Welcome to Eastons Bowhunting Basecamp. I'm Dr. Preston Ward, the owner of Mtn Physio. Today I'm at the archery range, getting dialed in for the hunts. We're going to be going over some exercises though that you should be doing for your shoulders to keep them bulletproof. Let's dive into it. Today's video will focus on your shoulders, on keeping them strong and healthy. A good shoulder has adequate mobility and adequate strength, all which we're going to dive into today and discuss. I want to get into the anatomy, a little bit about the background of injuries, why we see them so much in this sport, which is very few, but the injuries that we do see typically consist of people who are shooting their bow too much or too little. As a bow hunter, one of the most devastating things that can happen to you is a shoulder injury. So I see in my practice a lot of people that have shoulder pain, they haven't rehabbed properly from a previous injury, or perhaps they picked up their bow getting ready to shoot for the season because they drew an archery tag and they pick up their bow, they shoot 100 arrows a day, and they get an overuse injury. There's a couple different things that we're going to address today for both those shoulders that have a lot of shoulder instability, but also those shoulders that don't have enough mobility, or they have some micro irritation, we'll call it, in that rotator cuff. All right, I've got my good helper here, Stetson. What I'm going to do now is show you the diagram of the shoulder blade, the scapula, and the rotator cuff muscles. So here we have outlined the shoulder, or the scapula here. So there's the outline of the scapula. We have right here these larger muscles, the rhomboids, that orient like this to help draw back that bow. And then up here you have your rotator cuff muscles, the one we want to get into and start strengthening. This rotator cuff muscle up here called the supraspinatus, and then this rotator cuff muscle right here called the infraspinatus. Then you have a muscle called the teres minor right here. All of these muscles, what they do is they actually, so show you here, what they do, focused right here, is they draw this down and together. So there's some compression there. What that compression does is pulls that rotator cuff, or pulls that head of the humerus here, right here. It draws it down so that you can get that full arc range of motion. Or when you're drawing your bow back, Stetson, go ahead and show us a good draw your bow back. So when you're drawing your bow back, go ahead and face this direction. Draw your bow back again. When you're drawing your bow back, it helps you get that range of motion so that you're not getting any impingement there. So when we draw the bow back, go ahead, Stetson, let's see you draw your bow back. You have, what happens is that shoulder, that scapula, rotates so that you can have a good angle to pull right here. So you're mainly drawing your bow back. Go ahead and let down slowly. Nice. So go ahead and do that one more time. You're going to focus right here. The scapula comes back. So what's drawing that back is those rhomboid muscles. Those rhomboids sit in between the shoulder blades. That's going to be one key exercise that we want to focus on, so that that doesn't, so that you have the strength there. You can go ahead and let down. I'll show you the anatomy of the rotator cuff here in this picture. So what you see here is you have the supraspinatus part of the rotator cuff, you have the infraspinatus muscle, you have the teres minor, and then the subscapularis muscle. All these muscles contract together to provide that stability to the shoulder. First things first, let's make sure that you have adequate shoulder mobility for the task at hand, for shooting your bow. So what you can do, this is a great mobility exercise. I like to use a resistance band, light to medium, depending on what you have. You don't need a heavy resistance band. For this one exercise, you can use a heavy resistance band. You're going to grab the band, pull apart, and then slowly come upward to get that full range of motion, and then downward. I do repetitions like this, 10 to 15, just to make sure you have that good adequate range of motion. And then what you can do is come all the way back and all the way forward to make sure you have that good range of motion. Let's focus on the rotator cuff now. So some of the most important exercises that you can be doing as a bow hunter, strengthening up again that rotator cuff that helps provide that stability to that joint. What you're going to do is wrap this band, tie it in a door, have someone hold on to it, my partner in crime here, Stetson. Then you're going to grab this with your arm making a 90-degree angle. You're going to keep your elbow to your side and pull out and in. Just like that. That's working that posterior rotator cuff. I'll show you in this picture right here. That posterior rotator cuff, the supraspinatus, the infraspinatus, and that teres minor. Again, repetitions of 15 to 20 should fatigue those muscles pretty quickly. The next exercise we have is working that subscapularis, that underside of the rotator cuff, to help again with that anterior stability. Same thing, you'll put it now on the outside of the door, and you're going to be pulling inward, just like this, okay? Elbow making that same 90-degree turn. There's variations of this. Again, these are some of the basic exercises you can be doing and should be doing as a bow hunter to make sure you have good, adequate strength. The next exercise, again, working those muscles in between your shoulder blades, the rhomboids. What you're going to be doing is basic rows here. So I like to use, again, a heavy resistance. Go ahead, Stets, you can pull back a little bit harder. Give me some good challenge here. You can do rows like this, squeezing your shoulder blades together so that as you get into that position of drawing your bow back, it's that one-armed row. This is a great exercise to do bilaterally. Sets, 3-4 sets of 10, 15, 20 repetitions. The next exercise that I really like, holding a 3 to 5 pound weight to simulate holding your bow. You can go in small circles by drawing back. So you're working both sides now. Do small circles, fast circles, as if you're holding your bow in a windy situation and need to get that steady or get that pin settled. You can also do variations where you're drawing back, doing unilateral rows. What I highly recommend with all these exercises is you work both sides. Even if you're not a left-handed shooter, you're going to hold the weight and work on those stabilizers, and then you're going to be drawing your bow back as well, working on that unilateral rhomboid action. When you're doing drills like this, I like to hold for 30 seconds clockwise motion and 30 seconds in a counterclockwise motion. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in to this week's Bowhunters Basecamp. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you work on these exercises to keep your shoulders strong and bulletproof. I'm now going to send a couple downrange. Get ready for the hunts. I wish you all luck. Follow me on Instagram at Mtn_Physio, PHYSIO. Also follow me on my website, www.mtnphysio.com, for more exercises and more information like this to keep you guys strong, healthy, and fit for the mountains. Thanks.